Okay, Friday edition of the after show. Got Wink and Justice with you. Wink over here on the East Coast.
And Justice over here on the west coast of the contiguous United States of America. It is Angle of Repose Friday. That's right. That could be the angle in which you might be reclining in your barcalounger. And if you're not, you oughta. And if you are, then you should be reading Wallace Stegner's Angle of Repose just to complete the cycle of existence.
Exactly.
Hey, Wink, speaking of cycle of existence, how are you doing?
Not bad, not bad. It is, what is it out there? It's 26. That's going to be about it for the day. I think maybe 29, 30 will be about the high for the day. And then back into the teens tonight. So we're still in this cold funk from, I guess, the Arctic. But anyway, we spring ahead this weekend, so maybe we can get into the spring weather next week. So I'm ready to get in the chat. Just go to netrootsradio.com, scroll down the bottom of the page, and on the right-hand side of the bottom of the page there is a link to the chat. So click that. Join us there.
And hold on to your horses, folks, because there will be a link coming, another one. We looked into, what's it called again? Not Square Deal, Square...
Cash.me or something? Yeah, it says Square Cash, something like that.
Square Cash. Yes, Square Cash. Which has come highly recommended, but we'll have that link up. We'll continue with PayPal just because people have been using it, and so at your leisure, just go right ahead. And when we notice that no one is there, then Peter Thiel can go build his island and have his libertarian paradise on his own, but without us.
Exactly.
Well, here, and also pods of the after show can be had by way of Spreaker, and then later by the other platforms like Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
Well, here along the banks of the Rogue River, in the Rogue River Valley of Southern Oregon, it is currently 50 degrees. It looks like, Wink, we're in spring. We do have some rain in the offing next week, but our nights are not going to be much cooler than maybe the mid-40s, maybe.
All right.
And our days, looks like, on the weekend, we're going to be in the 70s, low 70s.
Right. Not bad.
Which means really only one thing. Do I have a lot of work to do in the garden? Oh,
yeah, pretty much.
There's no way. There's no way to avoid it now.
No,
I got it. I got to do it. I got to get the lawn mowed. I got to just get ahead of it because when it rains, it might get sloppy.
Yeah, there you go.
But so maybe I don't. I tried to find forecasts, out, and it looks like maybe we might be over the freeze at the elevation level that I'm at, the risk of freeze. And I don't know, maybe I should start, I do have some, a punch list and a fellow who will come out and take care of part of it, not just in the garden, but elsewhere. So that just gives the incentive to, get to work. I'm, it's sort of like the squirrel coming out of its little burrow, and you start working for the next winter.
Right.
Isn't that how it is? Hey, Are you in a car?
Am I in a car?
Yeah, it sounded like you opened the door to a car there. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. No,
that was probably a notice that somebody was telling you on by way of GMs or something to.
That could be, yeah.
Tell me to get on with it. Well, okay. Apparently, Trump has shut out the whole press corps this weekend, and Tillerson is going off to do whatever he does for Exxon because I don't know. He acts the same as he did in these third world countries that were in crises in their government, and they went in there and sucked their natural resources out of the ground. That's what he did. He was a master at that, and so he's perfect for the Trump administration when obviously Trump's job is to destroy absolutely every department and institution that we have in this great United States. So it looks more and more like I'll just jump the gun here and say it sure looks like they were in absolute personal contact and collusion with the Russians. And I don't think that's putting on a tinfoil hat. And there are indeed some who say, oh, you're wasting time on, the Russian connection when there's all these other stuff going on. Well, all this other stuff going on is all part of it, too, isn't it? I mean, does it make any sense, Wink, that you would have a State Department that has no idea when the Mexican foreign minister is in town? What's up with that?
Yeah.
Isn't that a complete dismantling of an institution? I mean, I don't know what else to call it. Oh, and one other thing before I get on with the rest of the show, because we only have so much time.
Right.
As God intended. And that is, it's transparent why Trump would be at war with the CIA. And when I say the CIA, I mean, 17 intelligence organizations within the government. Why would he be at war? Because they know. And he knows they know. And he knows that they've known for a long time. But 2 + 2 = 4, Wink, doesn't it?
Yep.
Hey, just a little production thing. You have like I don't know, your mic sounds like it has the all around sound because I'm hearing movement and stuff. And that's
I'm trying. Yeah, I'm doing
that's
some
not
stuff
normal with what you do. Okay, no, that's fine. If that's
chords and things like that,
okay.
yeah.
Okay,
Probably
if that's
hear that.
I thought maybe it was out of setting and stuff, but that's fine.
Yeah, I'm having all kinds of technical difficulties this morning. That's all.
Aren't we all? Okay, well, these are the issues. These are the issues that we will be attending to today, and they are Trump. This has a meme to it. Okay, speaking of which, Trump advisor Roger Stone communicated with Russian hackers before the election. Leaked emails reveal Trump backer Nigel Farage's long-standing ties to Julian Assange. Kind of weird, how back in the day we weren't really aware of the white nationalist interests and protection that Assange was getting. Interesting, isn't it? And speaking of which, investigative journalism reveals Silicon Valley's dark underbelly of white nationalist Trump bros. Yes. The white men were the ones who created all this wonderful technology, and all the others are only usurpers to our great intelligence. God, these guys, I don't know.
Indeed.
I think they've been playing these build a civilization games a little bit too much.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah.
That's just me. Now, for the last half, of course, it is the Friday News Dump and Recycling Center news that's been repurposed for a purpose. And when we say repurposed for a purpose, we don't mean just for a purpose, but for our purposes and, pushing, whatever it is that our bias is for the day.
Exactly.
And that happens to be today, speaking of EPA head Scott Pruitt. Wink, he won't listen to scientists, but promises he's listening to industry. And we knew that.
Yeah, no doubt, yeah.
And in an example of what will happen if you don't listen to scientists, long considered to be physically impossible, scientists have created a new state of matter called time crystals.
Yeah, I did see that.
All that plus the Connect, Unite, Act, Daily Codes, Community Calendar, and more on the after show with that ever so fine fellow with his ever so subtle East coastal elitism because he's in upstate New York. It wouldn't be so subtle if he was in downtown New York.
Exactly.
Just so you know.
Yep.
And his name is Wink. And this guy all the way back over here on the West Coast. And yeah, if you haven't gathered, there's nothing subtle about me. And my name is Justice. And we do this 5 days a week for about an hour-ish. Give or take a little smidgen here or there for 5 days a week in the specific tear on the fabric of space-time because who loves you, baby? Yep. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, when you've met the various, you know, in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you know, you got your shelter, you got your food, you got your sex, you know. Then you start thinking about health care and maybe a pension, you know, that kind of stuff. And sometimes even before you got your food and you got your sex, you start thinking about what does it mean to actually be in this plane of existence? And you might ponder that all the way up past whether you even think that you'll have a pension.
Right.
So I like hearing about time crystals. I don't know. Is there a way of
all
like...
that science stuff is really good.
Is there a
I'm
way...
not trying to do something with a test tube, it's all good.
Is there a way with a time crystal of, I don't know, maybe trying it on a certain poofy-haired leader of the Western world? Just to see if it works or not?
Yeah.
Or to see what the hell it is. I don't know. When I was a little kid in Catholic school, I did ponder this question about, you're talking about test tube?
Yeah, yeah.
What if our whole existence truly was a mistake by humans, right? And it got a little bit out of hand, and even God's having trouble putting it back together. You know, I don't know. When you're a kid in confession, wondering whether you're guilty or not, you ponder those things, Wink. At least I did.
Yeah, no question.
All right. Roger Stone. Now, you know, of course, this whole thing about Trump is a culmination of get back for what happened to Richard Nixon. Because it wasn't that they were pissed off that, you know, he was a criminal and all that. No, they're pissed off that he got caught.
Exactly. Yep.
And the people who caught him have to be made to suffer. Truly, I mean, look at the forces arrayed against the Clintons. They were all former Nixon Watergate people. And Roger Stone's right there, right down to the tattoo of Richard Nixon on his back. That's pretty loyal, if you ask me.
I don't know if Nixon would have ever gotten us out of Vietnam if he'd have survived the 4 years, you know, the second term, 4 years. I think we'd have still been in there as he left office.
As long as it suppressed the black vote because of war on drugs
exactly.
And the conscription of black kids to go and fight that war, black and brown kids to fight that war was a strategic. It wasn't a bug; it was a feature. Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. And we know that now because of the tapes.
Yeah.
All right. This is an article out of Think Progress by Aaron Rupert. Roger Stone, longtime confidant and advisor of Donald Trump, exchanged direct messages on Twitter with Guccifer 2.0 before the presidential election, according to a report. Well, in the smoking gun. Okay, let's. I'll just put it out there, all right? But it is also in Think Progress. And even though we know that they're Democratic liberals, there is a certain level of vetting, at least with this arm of the Center for American Progress. All right, let's be clear. In a joint statement released in October, U.S. intelligence community officials said they had concluded that Guccifer 2.0 is a front for hackers directed by the Russian government. Emails Guccifer 2.0 hacked from the Democratic National Committee and Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta were later shared with and published by WikiLeaks, with the DNC emails hitting the internet just before the Democratic National Convention in July, and Podesta's emails trickling out in installments beginning in October. And I got to tell you, if you need a risotto recipe, you need it right around October, all the way up past New Year's. Then you don't really see risotto coming back until, I don't know, about the middle of summer again.
Exactly.
Right. So somebody's, if you're going to be tracking, who's responsible for this, I'd be looking at maybe a sous chef or two, okay? Just saying. Not a line cook. They don't know how to do risotto. Sous chef? Yeah. At least a sous chef. Head chef probably doesn't have time. I'm just saying. Might want it, but they're too busy. So you send the sous chef to do it. The report says, simply cites a source, but reached for comment by the smoking gun. Stone did not deny anything. And they have this on tape, too, by the way, Wink. Yikes. He also indicated he's been afflicted with the same amnesia that has befallen other members of Trump's inner circle in recent weeks when the topic of their communications with Russian officials has come up. I don't remember speaking with the Russian ambassador. Oh, you mean that Russian ambassador? Well, we didn't talk about anything about the election or getting cash payouts or, what we would do for the cash that we were getting to get us back on our feet. And then what we got to give in return, because, he said he'd have to come back and we'll have to do a little favor sometime. And I don't think it's, making Sonny's body look like his mom can see it. Something a little bit more serious than that, if you ask me, Wink. Asked if he had exchanged private Twitter direct messages with Guccifer 2.0, Stone said in a text, I don't recall. In reply to a question about whether anyone else had access to his Twitter account, Stone, who has called Guccifer 2.0 his hero, said, numerous people who work for me have access to my Twitter feed. Well, of course. You let the sous chef do it sometimes. The Smoking Gun report does not contain details about the contents of the direct messages between Guccifer and Stone, but in late August, the Smoking Gun exchanged direct messages with Guccifer 2.0 and asked about contacts with Stone. After wondering, why are you asking, Guccifer 2.0 then accused the Smoking Gun of receiving repertorial guidance from federal investigators. The FBI is tracing me, reading my direct messages, and giving you hints. No. The Smoking Gun report says when further pressed, Guccifer said, I won't comment on my conversations with other people. I don't know. If I was a CIA or an intelligence analyst, I would probably say, yeah, this is a Russian guy. Americans don't say no at the end of their sentences. No. Come on. That's people from the continent and east.
Right.
Just say it. The self-professed freedom fighter added, why are you interested in Stone? He's just a person who wrote a story about me, or I don't know, some important stuff. Right around that time, Stone posted a tweet suggesting he knew Podesta's emails would soon be published. That same month, Trump's then campaign manager, Paul Manafort, left the campaign amid reports Ukrainian authorities were investigating him for receiving $12.7 million in illegal payments from Ukraine's former pro-Russia ruling party. Stone again alluded to the Podesta emails just days before they started trickling out via WikiLeaks. In tweets he posted over that weekend and later deleted. Over this last weekend and later deleted, Stone acknowledged having a pre-election, quote, back channel, end quote, to WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. Interesting. The Smoking Gun notes that the FBI opened a criminal investigation into Guccifer 2.0 after the entity took credit for the DNC hack, and that investigators might be able to get to the bottom of what Stone's private messages with Guccifer were. As part of the probe running out of the Bureau's office in San Francisco, agents have obtained detailed records for the Guccifer Twitter and WordPress accounts, according to two sources, the Smoking Gun reports. Stored Twitter records would include tweets and direct messages, according to the company. Uh-oh, somebody in Twitter doesn't like Roger Stone. Because normally, wouldn't you hear things, oh, well, we can't give that up. Come on. But Twitter is dealing with a white nationalist problem, which we will get to later on in this broadcast. Trump and his inner circle denied having pre-election contact with Russian officials until after the inauguration, when it was revealed that then National Security Advisor Michael Flynn had repeated communications with the Russian ambassador on the same day in December that the Obama administration implemented new sanctions against the Putin regime for meddling in the election. And of course, another part of this story is that Flynn was also an actual foreign agent for Turkey. Get out of here. Unregistered too, Wink. That puts some people in jail. And has. I mean, there are people who've been put in jail for selling dolls. I'm serious. Because, just saying, it's going to catch up. Since then, it's emerged that at least 3 other Trump campaign officials, including Trump himself, met with Russian officials during the election. Both Flynn and Attorney General Jeff Sessions publicly lied about their communications with Russians, with Sessions doing so while under oath at his confirmation hearing. And you know how liars, this kind of actually shocks me about Jeff Sessions, is that he couldn't stop talking just like a liar. And you would think he'd be smarter than that. You would think that as this great prosecutor that he professes himself to be, that he would see that, just give him a little bit and he'll keep talking. And this was information that he offered up himself. He's the one that said, I never met with any of those people. Just shut up. That's what your lawyer always tells you. Just shut up. Don't offer any information. Just shut up. But he couldn't, as if he wasn't used to lying on that scale before. Interesting, isn't it? An administration totally predicated on misdirection, subterfuge, and out lying. And I'm shocked that Jeff Sessions wasn't able to, I guess he wasn't ready for the big leagues. Big league.
Yeah, you would think he'd have been prepped better, maybe. I don't know.
You would think. Well, because he's also responsible for bringing people who were tight with the Russians into the inner circle of Trump very early on, long before even Trump, actually formally announced.
Right.
Now, there might be some question, he's been running for president since the late 80s, early 90s. And there might be some argument about that. But I'm talking within the year and a half prior to this.
Yeah, because anything before that was just speculation for the most part.
Well, no, not speculation. There's no speculation about actual Russian contacts and Russian
Trump
businesses.
Running for office. Because
he
put it out there.
Yeah, he had mentioned it, but it's not anything formal. Is what I'm saying.
Right.
But you might say that like when you run for student body president, you don't run for student body president the months before being student body president.
That's right.
The year before, during your year, you become like head of the float committee,
exactly.
And you build the float for the junior senior prom.
Yeah.
So you're laying the groundwork. So he's a frat boy. That's how he thinks, and so. But I'm just saying that Sessions within that time period considerably before any formal announcement or
Yes.
even really the actual push, when the actual push began, brought these people into his sphere, which I don't think necessarily Sessions brought these people into his sphere. I think they're all part of it, but I think that Sessions might have been the conduit to whatever our government is. Just, I don't know. In this reporter's opinion, of course. Okay, despite all those contacts and the U.S. intelligence community making public its finding that Russia used Guccifer to meddle in the presidential election on Trump's behalf, no evidence has yet emerged of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russian officials. Stone was an official advisor for the Trump campaign from when he launched his campaign in June of 2015 until August 8th of that year, but he remained close with Trump after leaving the campaign and visited the then President-elect in Trump Tower in December. But of course, he also resides in one of Trump's, like either in D.C., I think he either has a domicile there, or in one of the New York ones, either in Soho or the other one. One of the other ones. So yeah, he's distanced himself.
Yeah. I'm sure he has digs in Washington, D.C., no doubt about it. Yeah. Besides the White House, of course. I mean, there's always the White House. But, I mean, the White House is just his workplace. Not really where he lives, I don't think.
Let's see. What did I do here? Well, unfortunately, let's see. I inadvertently, and I'll have to fix this on show notes, both on our Blogspot page and in Daily Codes. I inadvertently put the wrong link into the next story about Nigel Farage's ties. But let me open up quickly where I know that it is. Oh, I'll just do this. But, of course, Nigel Farage, as we know, is the white nationalist boogeyman and provocateur who helped usher in Brexit. And let's see, Nigel Farage. There we go. And okay, this is it. And he seems to be, I don't want to say a Zelig type character where he kind of shows up where all of these political, oh God. So the one place that I go to that actually was cited by all of these other sites that I actually saw the article in wants me to join their site. So let me. Okay. There we go. And so Farage was noticed coming out of the Ecuadorian embassy here just yesterday, and this comes in. Here it is. It was in Alternet all along. That's what I thought. This is by Travis Geddes, actually out of Raw Story, which is where I first got it. But okay. Leaked emails reveal Nigel Farage, who led the push for Brexit and now serves as an unofficial advisor to Donald Trump, has longstanding ties to WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. Farage visited the Ecuadorian embassy Thursday, where Assange has sought asylum since 2012, but the former leader of the UK Independence Party told BuzzFeed he couldn't remember what he'd been doing in the building just moments before. Man, they just have wing. I don't know if it's polonium. There's something that really causes these right-wingers to have amnesia whenever they're caught red-handed.
Yeah, exactly.
Man. I would almost say it's like you know how there's like what's known as a cancer cell, you know, where there's like a location where there's a cell of well there's a group of people that are mysteriously all succumbing to a particular strain of cancer that's peculiar to that particular place versus others, and then they bore down and it's like some sort of heavy metal in the water or the soil, right?
Right.
It's just weird how in this instance, every single one of these right-wingers have amnesia when they're caught red-handed. I don't know if it's in the soil, but it's something. Emails leaked to Business Insider show UKIP and other Farage-led political groups defended Assange after a European arrest warrant was issued for him in February of 2011 on sex assault charges in Sweden. And you know what? I'm going to make a confession here, and I know we're going a bit over, but it's Friday. This is a confession, okay? I was fairly ambivalent about these sex charges against Assange, and I have to admit that part of it was because I thought maybe they were spurious charges with no validity to them, and that they were brought because Assange was part of this bigger treasure trove of how what I thought was how the Bush administration had been able to lie us into a war, among other things. Lie us into torturing people and violating the Geneva Convention and getting away with it. And I didn't want to consider what is now the fact that what Assange's true aim is to basically be like a Jerry Rubin and to tear everything down with no plan for the future and just sit around and groove on the rubble because it just has to be brought down.
Right.
And I'm sorry, I don't like people like that. That's my bias. So maybe these sex charges,
kind of ridiculous.
Let me just say, maybe these sex charges aren't so spurious. Maybe the claims are there. I mean, the claims are valid. And to be sequestered away so that you're outside the law, I don't know, it doesn't bode well. And then when we look at this article here where, I mean, we're going way back. We're going back when Assange was still only a part of WikiLeaks and not all of WikiLeaks. And maybe that belies the fact of why there was a mass exodus out of WikiLeaks when Assange began asserting his, what shall we say, ego. Because when I look at the timeline from these leaked emails, they also come at a particular time when Assange started exerting his ego. And when I say these leaked emails showing close ties with international white nationalists, what the hell is that about? Well, I think that it probably segues quite nicely into the next article about the underbelly of white nationalist Trump bros in Silicon Valley. That is what Assange is probably a part of. And how is it that they have a worldview that comes to that? Well, Brad Reed from Raw Story lets us know. Silicon Valley has a reputation for embracing diversity and preaching tolerance, but a new investigation also reveals that it's a hotbed for white nationalist Trump bros. Mother Jones' Josh Harkinson has written a lengthy report about the underground alt-right subculture within the tech industry, which consists mostly of white male engineers who believe that white people are the rightful owners of all technological innovation, and who think people from other races who work in the tech world are usurpers. It does kind of crack me up, because I gotta say, when there were still a few cave dwellers in France, there was a vast civilization that understood astronomy and how to make metal over there in what we kind of call China. Isn't that weird how that one works too? So much for usurpers. But we've heard this before. that the world exists as it does because of a European-centric, white European-centric advanced mindset. That we've created these innovations and social constructs that would be impossible among these other people of lesser quality. Harkinson's piece contains interviews with several prominent, and I don't like the term alt-right because they're neo-Nazis. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
As well as some anonymous neo-Nazi software engineers who work at major companies such as Facebook and Google. Andrew Orenheimer. Yeah, I like that already, all right? Andrew Orenheimer, a notorious racist hacker who goes by the name Weave online, explains to Harkinson that this alt-techie movement is fueled by the belief that most contributions that built the internet came from white people, and that our contributions are essentially being stolen from us. Well, that's not really true when you think about what was happening at HP back in the 50s. I mean, even my stepdad was part of that. Nisei, Japanese American. Sure, he was there developing missile guidance systems, but, it's not as if it was only built by white people. I'm just saying, right? What about not being able to get our astronauts back unless a group of black women were able to crunch numbers faster than any of the machines that had been developed by who? White men? Okay. A techie who, okay. So those contributions and built the internet came from white people, and that our contributions are essentially being stolen from us. That's their idea. Ah, nice. A techie who regularly posts under the name White Morpheus at the neo-Nazi website Daily Stormer explains to Harkinson that he's fed up with tech companies importing Asian engineers whom he describes as unqualified subcontinentals who are brought in by visa fraud to drive down American engineering wages and who produce subpar work. Okay. Sounds to me like someone who hasn't been able to get a good review in a few years, and you're looking to blame someone for your own inadequacies. Most of these techie Trump fans are not willing to identify themselves publicly, however, for fear that doing so would harm their careers, and in this reporter's opinion, for good reason. If I posted publicly about what I told you, I'd get fired, an anonymous Google coward engineer tells Harkinson. Even with Trump, there is a huge cultural inertia. Hey, Hans, you don't come into my bar and tell me how to do it, okay? Now get over there and stand in line. The whole piece is worth reading. And it is at Mother Jones, and of course, appropriate links will be provided. Let's get to our Jim Hightower break. We'll come back, go through the Connect, Unite, Act, Daily Codes Community Calendar, and then the Friday News Dump and Recycling Center. You're listening to the After Show on Netroots Radio with Lincoln Justice, and we will be right back.
Donald Trump, the amazing wonderkind of global luxury living, and now our nation's phantasmagoric fast-charging president, is proving to be a legislative magician. In his campaign, Trump's number one promise was that he would, quote, immediately repeal the entirety of Obamacare. Then, hocus pocus and abracadabra, simultaneously replace it with, quote, great health care for a fraction of the price. Wow, that's why his White House media operation calls him President Action, President Impact. But oops, it seems that the amazing Donald has abruptly learned that what magicians do is not magic. They just perform illusions. In other words, it's fakery. So Trump is now caught in the spotlight of reality, unable to produce a workable plan to repeal and replace Obamacare as he had so glibly promised. In fact, the GOP replacement scheme he's been backing would leave millions of people with no health care coverage while reducing the benefits and jacking up insurance payments for millions of others. Frustrated, President Action recently whined to a meeting of state governors that nobody knew that health care could be so complicated. Of course, by nobody, he meant that he didn't know. Therefore, no one could have known since he knows everything. But wait, in a truly amazing magical act, the Donald has now pulled a rabbit out of his hat. His new Trump Care plan, he brags, will guarantee that every American will have access to health coverage. Before you erupt in applause, however, notice the trick word he's using. Access. That doesn't mean you'll get coverage, you'll just get access to coverage, if you can afford it. It's the same as promising that everyone will get access to owning a private jet, just like Trump. This is Jim Hightower saying, see, he truly is magical.
If you'd like more of Jim Hightower's real populism, check out the Hightower Lowdown. Jim's monthly newsletter gives you the real lowdown on which corporations, by name, are doing what to the middle class, our environment, and our democracy. Each month, the Hightower Lowdown brings you facts you didn't know, along with actions you can take to fight back. It also comes with a sense of humor. Hightower believes we can fight the gods and still have fun. Plus, get this, it's cheap. Only $15 brings you 12 issues a year. For real populism, go to hightowerlowdown.org.
You are listening to netrootsradio.com.
Please hang up and try again.
From a point at sea to the circles of your mind, a new force is at work for planetary transformation. New radio for a new Earth.
Okay, we're back.
And indeed we are back, and thank you for sticking with us. This is the After Show with Wink and Justice here along the banks of the Rogue River, in the Rogue River Valley of Southern Oregon on the West Coast. Wink is in upstate New York 21 on the East Coast. Our crew are the ethereal creatures who reside in the cloud, whose advanced intergalactic technical abilities allow Netroots Radio and thus by extension the After Show to span the globe, the solar system, past the Oort cloud, and beyond.
Heck yeah.
Today's Connect, Unite, Act Daily Coast community calendar is facilitated as it is every Friday by Smiley Creek. And she opens up her offering this week with seeing anything especially weird. And she goes a day by day examples of weirdness. And well worth going to the diary and looking that through. Okay, so Wisconsin Cossacks, of course, they're a new group that are forming. And if you would like to join, Cosmail Chris the Collodem. And links are provided, of course, at the diary and will be also at the other platforms that we have here for the after show. And, once again, Navajo does maintain the events list. And if you have any diaries about an event or you would like her to know about a group or event that you are organizing, Cosmail her and she will put it on the list. And then you'll hear it on the radio, too. So please RSVP Navajo's Facebook page if you want to join Meteor Blades and Navajo at the DC Sister March today in San Francisco at 5 p.m. near Civic Center. And so Cosmail that for that. Oh, I'm sorry. They're going to meet at Sam's American Eatery at 1220 Market Street between 8th and 9th at 4 p.m. And then they will be marching as a group to the Federal Building at 7th and Mission at 5 p.m. Then they're going to march a couple of blocks to the Civic Center for more rallying, and that's where the food booths will be. Just saying, Carnival, remnants of Carnival still happening.
Yes.
So Rebel Georgia, or Rebel and GA, also gave me a link, and I wish I could find it, but it's happening today also. Unfortunately, that march began an hour before our show started because it's back in D.C., but it's the Indigenous Peoples March, and people who advocate Indigenous peoples' rights to not be poisoned by the Dakota Access Pipeline. So that march may be still occurring, obviously. So if you're in D.C. and New York, check that out as well. New York City Cossacks, mark your calendar, April 23rd. Navajo will be in town. They're going to meet at Spitzer's Corner, as they always do, at 101 Rivington Street in the Ludlow District at high noon. Cosmale Navajo, there's quite a slew of people going for that already. And mark your calendars for the third Epic Glacier National Park meetup held on June 30th through July 2nd. Thinking Fella and Ojibwa are organizing the event. Important planning details should be known, so there is a diary spelling those out. And also the Netroots Nation 2017 Daily Co's annual Cheers and Jeers dinner will be occurring Wednesday, August 9th at 5:30 p.m. at a location to be determined. Do Cosmale Navajo quickly and consistently to RSVP for a seat at the table, because as people grow, they're going to have to figure out where they're going to have that event. And that is your Connect, Unite, Act Daily Coast community calendar for the 10th of March of 2017. Okay. EPA Scott Pruitt, he's a climate denier. He's a climate truther, actually, Wink.
Yeah, yes, yep.
He falsely claimed that carbon emissions don't have anything to do.
Yep.
Well, he's an industry flack. He's responsible for Oklahoma, having the earthquakes that they have right now. Oh, I'm sorry. This is a article by Samantha Page, who is actually, we might just have to refer to her as the great Samantha Page out of Think Progress. Because she's done stellar work over a considerable time.
There you go. Yep.
Which probably means they're going to lose her, and she's going to, that's how it works. She's going to, get more pay somewhere. Good for her.
Yep.
The man in charge of protecting the country's environment, EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt, appeared on CNBC's Squawk Box on Thursday morning and falsely claimed carbon dioxide emissions are not the primary contributor of global warming. I think that measuring with precision human activity on the climate is something very challenging to do, and there's tremendous disagreement about the degree of impact. So no, I would not agree that it's a primary contributor to the global warming that we see. I don't know. I'm reading that, and you have to really hear. It's sort of like putting on the They Live sunglasses. Rowdy Piper.
Oh, yeah.
And then you see really what they're trying to tell you. It's a similar sort of thing. This guy says things, and you put on the proper ear, headphones or the proper glasses with the headphone set. And what I heard here is that my pooping in your yard and garden have nothing to do with the diphtheria that you're experiencing.
Right.
That's what I heard. Huh. Wow. Pruitt may not choose to accept that fact, but it's true. Scientists have found a causal relationship between the carbon dioxide humanity has been spewing into the atmosphere since the Industrial Revolution and the ever-increasing global temperatures. The global carbon dioxide level is expected to reach a record high this spring, as it has over the last several years. Meanwhile, the country has been experiencing record warmth, and sea ice is approaching, if it hasn't already begun, a death spiral. You heard about that calving of that continent-sized glacier along the Larsen Shelf. Larsen. The Supreme Court has already sided with the EPA in ruling carbon dioxide from burning fossil fuels is a pollutant and as such must be regulated. In response, the EPA under Obama formulated the Clean Power Plan, which seeks to limit carbon emissions from the electricity sector, one of the leading contributors to greenhouse gas emissions and therefore global warming. Of course, during his confirmation hearing, he told senators he would not try to overturn the pollutant finding, but he has repeatedly said that human activity is not adequately linked to climate change. Sure, they said the same thing about the Dust Bowl. Everybody forgets about that. They cried about the regulations. Oh, they're trying to make it so we can't grow on land. We have to let it lay fallow and put a cover crop on it. They're trying to tell us what to do. Because people denuded the topsoil and it blew and became dust. And then the government had to step in and actually pay farmers not to plant. Well, to not put their cash crop on a field for a particular time, put a cover crop on it, till it in, get it back up to production, save the topsoil. And there was such an argument. We're puny human beings. We don't have that ability to do anything on that scale where we would do that and it would just blow in the wind. It was God's will. Excuse me. Any day now, Trump is expected to issue an executive order rolling back the Clean Power Plan and triggering lawsuits over how the agency will address carbon pollution. Under Pruitt, the EPA is not expected to proactively address this issue, and environmentalists worry that the country will lose its last best chance to address climate change and prevent 6 or more feet of sea level rise by the end of the century. They're acting like they're building a spaceship to get to bug out off the planet, Wink.
Right.
We've seen even in the chintzy 1950s B-movie science fiction genre, the rich industrialists and the corrupt politicians are building the big spaceship to bug out because either the meteor's coming or they're acting like that. It kind of bugs me.
Yep. Well, they figure the planet's only got 20 years left anyway, so,
Yeah, but instead of looking at each other and saying how much we love each other and what a grand, beautiful existence it has been to experience all this, it's let's just turn into grab what we can. It just doesn't make any sense.
And beat feet, yeah. Get the hell out of here.
Or they're not going to go they can't get anywhere. Where are they going to go?
I think they think
Mars? They think they're going to terraform Mars?
I
Give
guess,
me a effing break. Okay. Well, of course, Pruitt's been criticized for his cozy relationship with oil and gas companies. And it's not the first time Pruitt has rejected or been ignorant to mainstream scientific research. During his confirmation hearing, he indicated that he did not know whether there was a safe amount of lead for children to have in their bodies. There is no safe level of lead. Any amount of lead is bad. All right? What an idiot. Well, I work for an industry where they put lead in the gasoline. When I worked in the oil companies, I still remember this, and it was so shocking to me. There was a way of grading, quality of our product. And somebody said, when it tastes and smells sweet like gasoline, that's when you know it's good. And I'd never considered gasoline to be sweet, let's just say.
Right.
But then I began to understand what they really meant. It was sweet because it was a moneymaker. Okay? Didn't taste sweet. It was sweet because it put green in your pocket. So it's just, the mindset, the worldview of a particular group of people that always amazes me. All right, let me go to the raw story. I'd actually had a much longer version on this time crystal story, but let me read the raw story part that gets to the bone of it. But I've got to find it here because, of course, I went with the much longer Nature paper. which has a lot of science involved. But no, I'm just going to have to give you the layman's view this time, which is really all I'm doing. But I like to go to the source journals because you can really get a lot out of it. Okay, this is by Juliana Rose Pignataro from the International Business Times by way of raw story. Scientists successfully created a new state of matter with the development of time crystals. The atoms inside the crystals remained in perpetual motion without any outside influence and did not lose any energy to the outside world, according to 2 studies published this week in the journal Nature. 2 research teams, one at the University of Maryland and the other at Harvard, produced time crystals using different methods. Wow. The crystals were likened to a ticking clock that never needs winding because they don't need any external energy to continue moving, according to Nature. The existence of time crystals was first proposed in 2012 by Nobel Prize-winning physicist Franz Welzek, but the studies were the first tangible examples of a class of matter known as non-equilibrium phases. This opens a door to a whole new world of non-equilibrium phases. We've taken these theoretical ideas that have been poking around for the last couple of years and actually built it in the laboratory. I just have to say, the suddenness and the rapidness of this, thought of in a theoretical sense by a Nobel Prize winner, studied, found, discovered. I'm thinking about how long it took Einstein for the theory of relativity to be corroborated because of actually political events that prevented, an observatory, of 3 small telescopes to be set up in Siberia, for instance. Another time was cloudy on this tropical island, that took, a good 30 years, right? This is just a couple of years. Though the crystals can't yet be used in real-world applications, they could, at some point, be used for storing or transferring information on quantum computers, which has an interesting aspect of itself, okay? They also might be useful in super precise sensors by detecting extremely small changes while stabilizing surrounding areas. Researchers at the University of Maryland created the crystals using ions of the element ytterbium. There we go. It's a ytterbium. Ytterbium. Applying an electrical field and repeatedly smashing them with a laser pulse. I'm telling you, if you don't listen to scientists, you'll be in some weird equilibrium, I'm sure. This is a new kind of order, one that was previously thought impossible, the Harvard team said in a commentary published in Nature. That's extremely exciting. Well, you create new matter? I don't know. Sounds interesting, doesn't it, Wink? I mean, it's almost playing like God.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It opens up, I would think, a philosophical discussion about what it means even to exist again. All right. Well, we'll ponder that. And there's, what? I keep telling everybody, you better rest up for the weekend because, used to be you would rest on the weekend. Right. But there's just so much that comes down on the weekend now. There's no rest. No. You have to rest up for the weekend because we're going to be deluged with, new findings and blockbusting scandals and whatnot. But you'll be able to speak about that to Rowing Girl and Wink on Saturday night from 9 p.m. For an hour of talk radio on the Roundtable Roundhouse Power Hour and the Jibber Your Jabber on Sunday night for 2 hours beginning at 9 p.m. on the West Coast, midnight on the East Coast. Don't forget to spring ahead Saturday night, Sunday morning. All right. Before we get into Hartman, we'll be listening to Medeski, Martin, and Wood. Where is Sly? Well, that is a question we've all like to answer. So stay tuned to Networks Radio 24/7, 365. Why? Well, because who loves you, baby? Okay, Wink, I will see you on the other side.
All right. We're out.